Welcome to Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. This is not your typical financial radio show. As a licensed CPA, insurance agent, and investment advisory representative, Chris coaches his clients on a holistic view of financial well-being with an objective of providing a complete financial strategy to fund life's goals. Chris is here to guide you down the path to the financial serenity you deserve. Now, here's Chris Cooper.
All right, folks, we made it. It is the last Sunday of February. February is like the worst month in the world. You got like this Super Bowl thing that kind of happens, gets you all excited. Other than that, February is kind of really rough. Now, we just had a beautiful little stretch of weather here, which is really nice. I've got my buddy here, Joe Schiermann. Joe, how are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Joe, tell me you enjoyed yourself this week, because it's during the week, which is always a little harder to enjoy yourself, but it was really nice.
It is really nice. But you left out February is also Valentine's Day.
Are you a Valentine's Day guy?
Love.
I had a nice little episode where we talked about Valentine's Day, and you know what I did with it? I talked about wills and trusts. That's my level of care. We care about your future.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess.
I like it.
Yeah, my kids did a whole things for their girlfriends. Like my oldest made chocolate-covered strawberries in our kitchen because they thought that the strawberries were too expensive in the store.
That's lovely.
I actually appreciated the message. I thought it was really cool. Something they did together. Now, my youngest, they went all out and did all kinds of crazy stuff. And
one of my coworkers, who Melissa,
yeah,
her son is, I'm going to mess this up, it's probably 8 years old. And they had to take him to pick up his girlfriend and go on a date together. The moms were not allowed to sit at the table. Wow. They wanted to sit by themselves at a restaurant.
8 years old. Wow. That's pretty early.
Mm-hmm.
That's all right. Well, how did it go?
I have no idea.
I didn't ask. It wasn't a, water cooler moment, I guess.
No.
Yeah. Fair enough. So, all right. So you have not changed. So folks, just so you know, Joe's been on our show before. We talked a little bit about interest rates. We'll talk a little bit about that today because that's kind of in the news. But you were you purchased a Groundwork Mortgage
Correct.
Insurance company.
Yep.
And now you've rebranded into something a little bit more unique and a little different as well.
Yes.
So the Builder Collaborative has spawned.
It has spawned. It's been so I told my employees when we closed on the company purchase on December 31st of 24 that we were literally going to break even for the entire first 6 months of ownership. Like, take a breath, relax a little bit, enjoy some time, which we did, but it also gave us the bandwidth to really figure out what the future looked like for all of us. And it was on the table that we could grow a company that is just for the three of us, or we could grow it into a corporation, into something much larger. And the vision is still evolving right now, as it always does on a daily basis. But the vision for the future is turning to be a very sharp point.
Yeah. Well, it's exciting. And I think that the drive with it always starts with that passion that you bring into it too, right? And then all of a sudden, the idea is that all of a sudden you're like, wow, I wasn't sure I was going to be interested in that. All of a sudden it sparks some more interest. And the next thing you know, you're off and running, and that's kind of the cool thing about entrepreneurship.
Yeah. And, as I reflected, it really was born out of my childhood. My dad was a carpenter. He was in the union. He worked at Boeing. And I spent my childhood going from bar to bar in St. Louis because he had a side job with Lord Distributing, if you can believe it. And we would drive around, we'd break out the map, and we would drive around St. Louis, and we would install beer chutes. A lot of people don't know what a beer chute is. It's when you're walking around downtown and you see those iron gates in the concrete.
Okay.
They open up, and that's where they deliver the kegs and all of the beer. And so it's this long wooden chute that when they open up the door for delivery, they just slide it right down into the basement.
Well, there you go. That seems very easy, efficient, convenient.
That's right. And so
saves a lot.
I grew up with a hammer in my hand, and I love home building and housing and everything that comes along with it.
Yeah. And so your background was really in the risk management space, but you always had this passion for being involved in the builder community.
I don't know that it was always there. Like, I started working in insurance, but the joke in insurance is that nobody went to school for insurance.
No,
right?
I don't remember that. Yeah, I took the insurance exam and I never remembered seeing anything in there where it was part of my college education or anything like that. Yeah.
Ironically, no. But the first 10 years of my career were spent working for an insurance carrier. starting off as a property claims adjuster. And after 10 years, I was running the large loss litigation division of this particular company. And when we started, there were 650 employees there. And I was literally the last person to close the door.
Yeah.
Because they were moving to Cleveland. So that's my nexus on getting into home building. I decided that I did not want to work for insurance carriers any longer, but I had the knowledge and the passion for home building. So those two things just kind of came together.
How do you help people solve a need with your education, your experience, your background, and help the people that are important to you?
Absolutely.
Right? Makes sense.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah. So you found, you started working with Groundwork Mortgage and, which does interest rates uses mortgages and helps people on the residential side, also insurance side as well. But what people don't think about with insurance, especially if you think about like builders and things, it's much more than just like your car insurance, your home insurance. There's a lot more to it.
Absolutely. So we wouldn't talk about home builders insurance. The Missouri statute of repose is actually 10 years long. So if there is any sort of construction defect that happens with a home that they are building for consumers, say in year 7 or year 5, something goes wrong with the HVAC, not mechanically, but like something was not installed properly, right? Then the homeowner can go back to the home builder within that 10-year statute of repose. So making sure that home builders have their insurance tied up for that long tail liability is super important.
Absolutely, which means you have some risk there along with it as well. So you have to be able to move forward, not backwards, because home builders aren't there to just sit there and make sure that the house is in perfect working order for those 10 years. Right? They can't do that. They move on to other projects.
Right.
So you have to have some support with that. And really, that's where insurance does come into play.
That's exactly right. And the example that I like to throw out the most is one of my favorite Christmas movies, Home Alone.
Oh, yeah. Great
so
movie.
the wet bandits at the end of the movie where the water was on and the entire basement is flooding.
Yeah.
Well, it's a very real possibility that when a home is under construction on the second floor, that a drywaller might throw a metal screw into a copper line, and that would take 2.5 years to rust out. And if the family's on vacation and gone and that thing rusts out and then the water goes all the way through the house could end up being a total loss.
Right. And that's the kind of thing that you need to help people prevent with life insurance or
not life insurance.
Jesus.
For home builders insurance.
Home builders insurance. And really that's what risk management is there for.
Correct.
And we always talk about the term risk management. I go to life insurance. That's where my background is. It's really just a form of risk management. You're spreading that risk, mitigating that risk, and you're using somebody else to help fund it for you.
Correct.
It's way more efficient than having to fund that risk by yourself, you know? And sure, is it optional? I guess you could say it's kind of optional, but that one claim could bankrupt your entire company.
If the policies are not written appropriately, that is 100% correct.
So you have the option to just, say, hey, there's a risk I'm willing to accept. But when you see that cash flow come in from that one issue, it's going to be a little bit of a problem.
Yeah. And there's, a couple of insurance or a couple of home builders that we work with now that they send their insurance policies in, and there is literally exclusionary language in their policy that will exclude any and all liability related to subcontractors' work.
How many home builders, I was going to say, how many home builders do this by themselves?
Yeah.
Right.
And
I don't think there are any.
This guy was paying $100,000 for an insurance policy that literally covered zero.
Wow. Yeah, that's not very helpful.
No. Not at all.
I mean, really, if you're a home builder, most of your staff is really contracted out.
Yeah,
right?
I would say that.
And that's not a bad thing by any stretch. Use experts at what they're good at. But home builder is really, you're a project manager.
Correct.
Right? You're managing that project, that customer relationship is probably the key.
Yep.
And that's what you're good at.
Right. And the consumers who are spending 9 to 12 months building the house, this.
Yeah.
Like you get to see the construction happening in front of you. And
it's
there's
pretty
just so
cool.
much that goes into it. It's not just protecting the home builders. It's literally the new house that you're going to make all of these memories with your families. And it's just so foundationally American.
Right.
It's the way that I feel.
Yeah. And well, especially when you get to build your own house too.
Yeah.
I mean, it is really cool. And I just experienced it for the first time in my life because I've always purchased houses that have just been, already in place, but it's never truly been mine, right? Because it was never something that I made those decisions, every little decision that you have to put into it. And it is kind of cool. It's a little bit overwhelming too, but it's kind of a fun process.
Absolutely.
It's a big deal. And there's a lot going on in the housing market right now. I mean, prices kind of started going higher with inflation and the tariff stuff and all those kind of things. Some of that noise kind of seemed to settle down a little bit.
Yeah, it's definitely simmering for sure.
Yep. What do you think about what's going on in the home building community today?
So I think that we're talking about two totally different things. So St. Louis is kind of on an island because we're in the Midwest, right?
Yeah.
Like I would say that home building on the East Coast, West Coast is booming as it always has been.
Sure.
Because people are migrating there, or maybe like down in Austin, Texas, where you've got the great move from California to Texas and Colorado. Those things are just the largest home builders are building all of those homes. In a place like St. Louis, more in the Midwest, people are taking their time more so than in land acquisition. We're a little bit landlocked for right now, but there's a lot of, I would say, knockdown rebuilds in existing communities like Kirkwood and Webster.
There's a lot in the news right now with Kirkwood and that, right? Because they're trying to keep some of that historic feel and vibe. But then everyone's like, no, it's kind of my property. Like I should be able to do what I want, you know? It's a fine line. Yes. And it's tough. And the housing market in general is always tough. It's very different in every different geographic area. But St. Louis always has its own little niche to it too.
Correct.
So.
Yeah, and there's a lot of privately owned land that is in St. Louis that has been private forever. So the builders are always out hunting and looking for new acreage that they can put in subdivisions and communities without having to go 25 to 40 miles outside of the St. Louis County limits.
Well, and I feel like a lot of the different change that's happened recently from a trend perspective in the housing market is we really want communities now. We're looking for a unique experience where you feel like you're part of something kind of special. Which I think is kind of a cool thing.
Yeah. What's the movie with Jim Carrey that where he is part of a community and he's like, if I don't miss you.
Oh my God. Was that The Truman Show?
The Truman Show. Yeah. That's exactly what.
Yeah. That was a great little flick there.
I agree.
Yeah. That was all in a big sphere,
Correct.
Yeah. The dome. So
the dome.
Oh man. See, now we could go on. Another thing we could always talk about all the time is Groundhog Day, because whenever I think about insurance, because I'm always in the insurance business, right? I always think about Ned Ryerson and how I don't want to be that kind of insurance person.
Yeah. I don't know who that is.
You don't remember? Do you know the movie Groundhog Day?
Yeah.
Okay. So Ned Ryerson.
Is that his character's name?
That's the character's name, the insurance guy.
Okay.
Bill
Murray.
Yeah. No. Bill Murray is the reporter.
Oh.
He was living the same day over and over and over again. Ned Ryerson is the insurance agent that approached him on the street and was, the typical insurance guy.
All I remember is Sonny and Cher was the song that they woke up to every single day.
Yep. Yeah. And because it was cold outside.
That's right.
It's such a terrible movie. But what could you do differently if you knew every day that you could make small improvements and then you could make it the perfect day, right? That's kind of what the whole movie was about. But I always think about that when I think about insurance, because that's the Ned Ryerson, lame insurance guy.
Yeah.
But anywho, so, I think he actually says anywho too, by the way.
Look at that.
Yeah.
It's like part of your DNA.
It's right. Ugh, that's terrible. So, all right. So what's going on in the interest rate world? Because there's a lot of things where I'm hearing interest rates are starting to come down a little bit.
Yeah, they are the lowest now than they have been in years, which is wonderful. I think that we were quoting people in the high fives last week.
Not bad.
Let's just hope that it's not going to be cyclical by day, which is what the world that we were living in for a number of years. You could log in one day and rates would be 7.5. The next day they're at like 6.75. It's how can you make something predictable out of that? It's very challenging.
Right. Well, and I think that's, you hit on a key word there, predictability, right? And, I help people on the investment side all the time, and people are scared about some of the financial things going on in the markets, up, down, all the different craziness. Predictability is something that we're looking for. And I actually love that. I would prefer small, little, tiny movements on a day-to-day basis. No knee-jerk crazy reactions that make your day chaos,
Well, if we're talking about predictability in the housing market, then I would say that new construction homes is more than likely where consumers should be looking, but I don't think that they are looking.
Oh, sure.
I think that especially in St. Louis, we're looking at the existing market, a home that has been on the market or in the neighborhood that we really want to be a part of. And I would say in large part, the appreciation of those properties has already occurred. Right. So, but when you're building a new home, the appreciation has not started. So like some of the home builders that we work with, we map their data trends year over year.
Yep.
And a new construction home could go up in value by 10% in year one. And also, as far as interest rates are concerned, if I'm purchasing a house that is on the existing market, I am going to be beholden to wherever the market is at that point in time.
Sure.
But if you're looking at new construction, a lot of builders right now want to move their inventory.
Yeah.
And so they are willing to pay closing costs or rate buy downs to where if we're starting at 6, maybe you can get down to 4.5%. And what's better than that? Because your payment, even though the house might be more expensive, if you're on a 4.5 or 4.75 rate and not at 6.5,
that's right.
Then your monthly payment is actually lower.
Well, and I'm always willing to use somebody else's money to leverage equity and risk.
Yeah.
And that's really what mortgages are. And that's why, like you said, 6%, like it's a high rate. I'm like, all right, think about that historically speaking for a minute, Joe.
Right.
Like historically speaking, that's still a very, very reasonable to low rate.
Mm-hmm.
We just got involved in this fictitious low rate of like 2s and 3s. When we started going below 3 on a 30-year mortgage, I was like, what is going on in this world?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy talk.
Yes.
And now people feel like they're stuck in many ways. They're like, oh, I can't move. I've got this, great sub 3% mortgage.
My response to that is you only live once.
Yeah. How does that make you feel?
Yeah.
You've got this great equity built up in your house. You're not really enjoying it for whatever reason. You want to do something different. Now all of a sudden you're kind of a slave to a rate that you think is too low.
Right.
I don't know if you're not unlocking the potential equity and enjoying your other things as well.
Correct.
So the thing that I get excited about with lower interest rates is the ability to perhaps spur the economic growth through small business.
Mm-hmm.
As small business owners, where are you going to come to for capital, right? Lower interest rates give you the ability to borrow that much more efficiently. And any business owner will tell you when they start off your business, in fact, Jim Brennan would tell you this about McKelvey Homes, started things with using their own home to help purchase the business.
Absolutely.
It's a really great way from an efficiency because there's a collateralization that occurs. Your home, the equity in your home is collateral.
Mm-hmm.
And banks like collateral. That helps.
Yes, they do.
It makes them feel a little bit better about loaning money out. Right. Now, have you seen this in the news recently? Speaking of interest rates, the cap on credit card interest?
No.
Yeah. There's talk that we should cap credit card interest at like 10% or something like that. I don't know that that's a very smart idea.
I don't know that that's a smart idea either, but if a lot of these credit cards come out and they're saying that you're like 27%.
Yeah. Which is ridiculously high.
So
of course.
There's got to be a medium in between.
But you signed up for it. You knew it. And you know what? There is zero collateralization to that credit card.
Truth.
So the bank is asking you to pay timely in exchange for a rate that, it's absurd. They also have no recourse.
Right.
And a no recourse loan should be more expensive.
I've never even thought about it like that.
I'm
smart.
I'm afraid that what's going to happen is if you cap the interest rate at a certain amount, let's just call it 10 or whatever, banks are now going to question their level of risk and perhaps be less willing to offer risk, offer that collateralization to take place, that credit, right? Why would they? Because now they don't get to have that same risk because some of those are going to end up in a loss to that bank. And we always like to think that these companies are so evil and are just profit-making machines. No, they're profit-making companies who employ people and have shareholders to answer to. Like that's okay. Nothing wrong with that.
That's the economy.
That's kind of how it works, right? And if you lower interest rates to help spur economic growth in small businesses and things like that, that tends to be good for the economy as well.
So the way that it's an interesting segue here, really the vision and the purpose behind the Builder Collaborative is to do exactly what you just described.
Yeah.
To provide builders the ability to scale if they have money tied up in their project.
Sure.
They want to go into different avenues, different communities, purchase a different house. Ultimately, that is going to help housing. So what we're doing with the Builder Collaborative is if you look from land acquisition all the way to the warranty at the very end, there's 11 major points that happen. Okay. So you have land acquisition, you have vertical construction costs, you have insurance and risk management, you have real estate listings, you have the closed-end mortgage on the back end for the consumer, and then you have their insurance and their warranty at the very end.
Right.
And I just believe to my core that the residential home building industry has been sucked dry in terms of everybody wants to make money off of that transaction.
Right.
And so they charge more. What's a perfect example? You've got a real estate agent who is charging anywhere from 3.5 to 5, maybe 6, 7 points on the total transaction. And when you take that times $750,000, that is a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so what we want to do is from all of those 11 data points, provide those services to the consumer and the builder, but do it for a fraction of the cost.
To try to streamline things a little bit.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Make it more efficient.
Exactly. So if you have a custom home builder that let's say is building 15 homes per year, they may have 15 different banks that they're working with, 15 different draw processes, 15 different insurance providers. And it just, I mean, I get emails and text messages from these guys at 2:00 in the morning because that's the only time that they have to do the
all
actual
this stuff,
work,
all this garbage stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so if we can combine all of these things, make a little bit of money on each of them, but then like on the consumer real estate, if somebody is charging 3.5 points, we'll do it for 1 point.
Yeah.
And you know what that does? That puts more money in their pocket to either buy down an interest rate or get the kitchen that they really want, but they don't think that they can afford. You're providing value to everybody along the way.
Love it.
And because the builders end up getting 40% of their day back, the slogan that I like to throw around all the time is that we want to help them get unstuck, and unleashed.
We got to beep that.
You missed the button.
I missed the button, and I knew it was coming. Like, I know your key phrase here, so we're going to get it beep. See, the listeners won't know though, because I'm going to have it beeped out.
Exactly.
So it's going to be fine. And if I don't beep it out, I might get thrown off.
I was
the air.
looking for that finger to start moving over.
I was
like,
trying
I can't
to
stop this freight train.
See, yeah, it's going to be okay. I like it. No, because no one's going to know. And now they're like, why? I heard the beep. Why are you guys still talking about the beep? It's because we didn't hear the beep. See, that's right. But he believes in this. Joe, you talk about it all the time. And I love that because it brings that passion in. And the reality is when we serve the communities we care about, that's what we want to do. Yeah. We want to solve people's problems. Yes. And we have solutions. And the solutions we offer sometimes are not the sexiest things out there. I got to tell you, having a conversation about life insurance and long-term care planning, it's not a fun, exciting conversation to have.
Right.
But you know what? It's pretty darn important.
But you can also make it light.
Well, you can. And that's where I think
that's where you excel.
That's the fun. I enjoy having the real conversation because the reality is if you don't have this conversation today, someone's going to have it for you and it's not going to be on your terms. And that stinks, right? You need to make sure you stack the deck in your favor as much as possible, using leverage and helping other people help fund some of those risks.
Yes, 100%.
And that's what risk management really is.
Absolutely.
The problem is, as you know, corporate insurance stuff, they don't talk like that.
No.
They talk in terms of risk management and statistics and data.
And I would even say that the builders who have been in business for a long time and the subcontractors, like they're not expected to be insurance experts.
Right.
But they have somebody who's handing them a 300-page policy and saying, you're covered. They're not going to bring that home and like thumb through it on Sunday morning drinking coffee.
No one reads all those policy stuff.
They're going to drop it in the trash and like if they need it, then it'll be there.
Right.
But my argument is that is why everybody complains that insurance doesn't cover anything. Because you have a lot of insurance generalists who will write a policy but don't necessarily understand an industry.
Right.
And when you understand the industry and the policy, that's when you can bring value.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense. And you and I talked about this. I want coverage for what's going to bankrupt me.
Yeah.
Like, you know, let's use the medical industry because that's something where neither one of us are part of, right? But it's an absolute mess. Like, I would love to just have a few cocktails and talk about solving the medical problems we have in this country. And just, you know, fast forward here, privatizing or going through government funding with it, not the answer. Mm-hmm. Getting the government involved in anything doesn't help. Okay. My opinion, shared by many others. But if we think about going to the doctor, you know, the flu is not going to bankrupt me. Mm-hmm. You know, me having a sore throat or my kid having strep throat, I will pay the doctors whatever they want, like a couple $100, whatever. I want coverage for cancer. I want coverage for my potential heart attack. I want coverage for that kind of stuff to be covered to where, yes, my out-of-pocket max might be 10 grand or whatever, but it's not going to make me have to evaluate my entire life choices.
Right.
That's fairly realistic. That should be the common objective here, right?
I completely agree.
But we don't think about that in terms of insurance all the time.
No, and the level of insurance has just changed. Like our fathers, I don't know what your father did, but my father was part of a pension with Boeing and the union, and he had a heart attack, and the ultimate bill that he received in the mail was like $80,000.
Yeah.
And his copay was $450.
I explained how that comes. Yeah.
So he's got Medicare,
right,
which picks up a lot of it. But then the backup policy that he has covers a lot of the additional.
Right.
The point being that the pensions are no longer a thing.
Right.
Like that is in the past.
Well, we used to have grandfathered into as retiree medical as well for
Correct.
People. Like
that's exactly what he
gone.
has.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the next generation, the health insurance is going to be radically different than it is for our parents.
We have to think about it. We have to think about that kind of stuff differently as well. But we are going to solve the problems that we are good at solving, Amen. Which is not the medical problems.
Truth.
We're going to help solve the problems of risk management for individuals, home builders, and be able to help those kind of people, right? Which that's what everyone should try to do. Solve the problems of the people that they can solve, right? So we can't solve everything.
We can try.
We can try. Yeah. I like trying.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always kind of fun. I always talk solutions, right? It's always just solutions. Problems, you have problems all over the place. You got to find the right solution.
That's right.
That's all it is. So Builder Collaboratives fully functioning up and running now. New branding with everything too, but really it's the same kind of business, just taking it to that next level as well and really focusing on that new construction process in the same time.
Well, think about this. So and St. Louis is kind of insulated from this market, but in your larger A markets, let's call it New York, Houston, Miami, where all of the national home builders are, every one of those builders owns their own mortgage company. They own their own insurance agency. They own their own title company.
Interesting.
And what they do when a consumer walks in is they say, we will offer you X amount of dollars in order if you use all of our services. And a lot of people, including loan officers that are in the business, get very angry at that because they feel like it's the home builder taking away their business and their client. But nobody's going to pass up a $25,000 check to help buy down an interest rate or do whatever. Of course not. But really what they're doing is they're operationalizing their business.
Correct.
Because if they
vertical integration.
Yeah, that's
more
exactly right. And if 80% of their consumers is inside of their flywheel, then their operations move much more smooth.
Right.
And so the overall premise of the Builder Collaborative is to bundle all of those services and provide it to the home builders who are aspiring to grow, who are aspiring to scale.
Sure.
And give them that benefit to where they can go out and do what they're good at, and that is building homes, and that's providing housing for our sons, our daughters, our parents when they're retiring, us for the love of God. But they can't do that because they're literally working late nights on all of the draw requests and financing, and they're trying to pit this bank against another bank, and it's cumbersome. It's overwhelming.
It's tough. And as business owners, we get overwhelmed and stuff because we have to wear so many hats.
Yeah.
Right. And what we're trying to do always is try to help people take some of the hats off. Right. Hey, let me help you be this expert. And if I can be this expert on this stance, that means that's one less hat you have to focus on. You can focus on what you're good at.
Completely agree.
It's a really big deal. And it's often overlooked because as business owners, we try to solve problems and we try to get involved in everything. But sometimes the best thing to do is bring in the experts to do that kind of stuff for you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's great is you're partnering with those folks to help. And at the end of the day, you're also helping to change the industry in many ways as well. Because, as a client of yours, I also am looking at refinancing now. I mean, that's kind of exciting,
Absolutely.
right? Why not look at that kind of stuff? And I've kind of thought about it. I'm like, is now the right time? But no, you guys just kind of check out for that. You run the numbers.
Well, we run the numbers for the clients and you present it, and it's if not now, then when?
Right.
What is the magic rate or savings for you? And the higher the loan amount, the more impact you can have with a refinance.
Sure.
Right. So
Sure.
like if your loan amount is in the 600, 500, whatever range, half a point could be saving you $400 per month.
Right.
Now, if your loan is only $160,000, that
might not be worth it
be
because
worth
there's
it.
some costs associated with it all the time, of course.
Exactly.
But it's to me, it's always the strategic conversation.
Right.
I'm always a bigger fan of that longer term thing, but I don't mind having I always look at the equity as the net of my mortgage. It is what it is in my home, and I'm willing to leverage a bank to help me fund that some ways.
Yeah, and
That's all it is.
you want guidance from somebody who you can trust, and that trust can be very difficult to earn.
Yeah.
But you earn it through reputation.
Right.
For example, we're talking with people who, if their home builder is providing them $10,000 in incentives towards rate buy down or closing costs, and they're trying to run the analysis on, well, what is more impactful? The question is, do you think that you're going to be refinancing potentially in 6 months to a year?
Right.
And if that answer is yes, then use the $10,000 towards your closing costs, because cash in hand is better than trying to buy it on an interest rate. And if you end up refinancing, then you just lost it.
That's right. It's a longer term strategic thing. And sometimes it's guessing, right? In some ways.
Yeah.
But you and I have this conversation often. Are interest rates going to be higher or lower than they are today? And if you think they're going to lean more towards lower than they are today, well, that should come into play.
Yep.
And sometimes it's a feel thing, but how much risk you have in that knowledge of, hey, if you don't think interest rates are going any higher, then so you broke even.
Right.
I'm okay with that. That's not a bad thing.
I agree.
Sometimes loss prevention is just as important as gains.
Oh, you
right?
are such a risk manager.
Yeah, with the geeky insurance conversations, right? Yeah. So, all right, Joe. Well, thank you so much. This has been very helpful. I think it's always important to understand the difference between what you're doing in today's world and what today's economy, right? You hear about things like interest rate noise. You hear about housing prices and all those kind of things. And people tend to get all caught up in the wrong things. And it kind of not necessary.
No, it's not necessary. If you do a very good job at this. Like, you cut through the BS and just go straight to, how can I benefit my client? How can I be honest and transparent?
In today's terms, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And when you do that, number one, as a small business owner, you can lay your head on your pillow at night and sleep very well, because you know that you are giving a great service to all of your clients.
Makes a big
and
difference.
They appreciate it. Makes a huge difference.
And that is what the Builder Collaborative is all about as well. And so thank you for helping people have nice homes in the St. Louis area on a day-to-day basis.
Thank you for having me.
So the housing market, it's an interesting market to be a part of. And really, so many of us are a part of it because so many of us are homeowners. And I just posted about this just Friday on the average home buyer is now 40 years old. That is crazy to me. I think that is so weird. And I think part of that is just because of our expectations have shifted. I think we as individuals in today's world feel like we want a certain level or a certain thing, and we're willing to wait until a certain point to get it or do other things. And I'm going, but part of the problem is we build equity along the process. It takes time to build equity. A good investment strategy, it's the same kind of thing. It takes time to build a portfolio. It takes time to build equity in homes too. You move from one place to another place to another place until you find that community and you build something that makes sense for you. And we often get just so messed up or mixed up in things like, oh, interest rate environment is a reason why this is, or, there's just not the availability of housing, or houses have become too expensive. Well, maybe it's our priorities have shifted as well. And if our priorities shift back to home ownership at a younger period in time, maybe we've got people that would put those homes into place. Or do they already exist, right? I don't know. I think that priorities have shifted for sure. But I don't think interest rates are the blame. I think interest rates are fairly reasonable right now from a historically perspective, right? Historically speaking, they are very realistic and reasonable. Life gets more expensive as time goes along. It's called inflation. There's very rarely a situation where deflation occurs. And quite frankly, if you look at the data for deflationary environments, what you're going to find is it wasn't a good environment to be a part of because there was other economic concerns that were bigger than the lowering cost of the dollar, right? So deflation is not exactly a good thing. We're not going to get the prices we had pre-COVID timeframe back, unfortunately, but we do see some stability in the inflation game right now, and it is affecting more industries each and every day. So it's getting better. Home prices are where they are. The question is, where are you and where are your levels of expectation? And one of the things that Joe was talking about is being able to help people do what they do well. And I think that's a great message for us to all understand. We can't all be experts in what we do, right? As business owners, we wear so many hats, but you have to understand where expertise matters and where you can have somebody else do that for you. It makes sense for somebody else to be that partner, that resource, so you get the time back that you deserve, so you can focus on the things that matter to you. And in the home builder community, that means building homes. That's what you're good at, right? Let other people do that stuff for you. Right? On the investment side, in the financial planning world, I try to help people enjoy their retirement. I try to help business owners manage a successful business that supports them and their loved ones, manage those goals, manage that expectation level, and focus on the things that matter. We can help take the financial strain off their back. We can have some important conversations about life, so you can focus on what matters to you. That's what's important, making sure you have the ability to focus on what you enjoy and what you do well. That's the things that matter to us here at Serenity Wealth. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Check out Builder Collaborative. Information's right here on this link here. And tune in each and every week. Sunday morning, we drop new episodes, 9 a.m. Serenity Wealth Now show. Chris Cooper signing off. Thanks, guys.
Serenity Now! This is Serenity Wealth Now with Chris Cooper. Request a free copy of Chris's latest book, The New Holistic Retirement, by visiting SerenityWealthNow.com.